The Centurion 11 from Century Arms, a nostalgic 45 ACP 1911 build. Coming up next, you'll see absolute first shots through the gun, full mag +1, multi-mag test for compatibility with other mags, our trademark What's for Dinner test with 10 different loads, the spinner for sights and trigger control, some practical accuracy, and then concluding thoughts from 2 shooters. Coming up next on GBGuns. So, first shots with the Centurion 11. We've got 8 rounds of PMC 230 gram ball and a C-zone piece of steel out there at about 20-ish yards. Just as something to aim at. A little bit challenging maybe with these fine sights.
Fine and undefined because there's no marking on the front. And with the way the light is right now, we're going to do our best. And this is going to be fun.
It's another northwest severe sun angle day.
It's also very late evening. I'd say they worked all right. You know, for being 45, I expected more recoil. It's a fatter round. It's, you know, just all the things that's badass about guns started with a 45. That rode like a Cadillac, and I'm excited to review this further. Let's see what Graham thinks.
You know, during the tabletop, while handling this thing, I was having some nostalgia because my very first handgun was a 45 1911 GI model, very similar to this. It wasn't all black, but just like this otherwise. I paused because Tia was making an eek face and I couldn't figure out why, and then right before I shot I heard a big bumblebee go by and I'm wondering if that's what she was eeking about. Couldn't see the target through the smoke. Or the front sight post. That's extra smoky PMC for some reason. I don't know if you guys are seeing that on camera. Shoots pretty well. That narrow beaver tail is definitely feeling the hand, but maybe my hand's tender because just yesterday I shot a Season 75, which also has a narrow beaver tail. But we'll find out more as we go on. Next up is full mag +1.
Full mag +1. I'm going to grab a round out of this mag using the original mag back up in there.
No issues feeding
no
it in?
issues. No, it went in really pleasantly. I'm going to go ahead and grab the safety because I'm not super familiar with them. It's right here. Okay. So all my hands want to do all the things.
It's a tradition to ride the safety with your shooting hand thumb. On
yeah,
other guns,
but some of those things have been myth busted. All right, and I opted to do this because there's only 9 rounds. I missed. The smoke is the smoke did cause a lot of 3 of those anyway. Sorry about that, folks. I'm not fast and I try to be accurate. But it worked. It locked open. It shot all the pews.
Cool. Now we have a multi-mag test. This is to see if the gun will run in other mags. We do this for 2 reasons. One, 1911s have, well, over 100 years of people making mags for them. And 2, not all 1911 mags work well in all guns. Depending on brand to brand, it's variable. So.
And you know what all of these mags are?
Not all of them are labeled.
Okay, so are you going? I'll shoot it if you want to call it off.
Yeah, I'll call it the best of my ability. I will have a picture in the article over at GBGunsDepot.com. That one is a 20-year-old magazine. That's from my first gun.
It's very personal. Should I feel honored?
It's marked on the back with my names, etc. Because at the time we were going to be allowed to take personally owned firearms to Afghanistan with us,
nice.
And I thought I'd take a 1911.
This on?
Sure.
Sure. All right, so 3 rounds. 1 to see how the gun feeds, cycles.
just making sure these mags work with this gun.
And locks open.
Yep. So that not only do folks know if the mag's going to work, but we also know if we can use it in What's for Dinner.
No.
Looks like that mag's a no-go.
This beefy guy.
That's a Pro Mag Stendo mag. Holds 10 rounds. Yeah.
Still legal in most states.
Yep, I bought it as a California resident.
You know, and given what this, if I were pulling from concealment, I would be using my safety. It seems kind of silly for me to be doing that right here, right now. So I'm not gonna.
And the Pro
Locks
Mag
open.
is working. That I believe is an Act Mag. Yes.
Correct. You know, this trigger is starting to like its job a little bit better. Metgar?
Metgar, yep.
And that last mag worked just fine, obviously. Works. This one's made in the USA by CZ.
That was a Zenith mag
Zenith.
that came with Zenith. They're not doing 1911s anymore, who knows? But if it works,
It's
we can use
pretty.
it What's for Dinner.
It works.
Nice.
Wilson Combat. Wait a minute.
It's not yours.
This trigger, I really like. Wilson mag worked.
And what is that?
It is an Act Mag,
Okay. Black Act Mag,
black Act Mag.
because we had the stainless one too.
It all worked, except for
Nice.
that one.
Aside from the 20-year-old Springfield mag. Oh well. All right. Now that we know those mags run in this gun, we can head over to What's for Dinner and see what the gun eats. It's that time of game. Thanks to our Ammo Squared supporters and patron supporters, it is What's for Dinner time. As we roll by, you'll see we're going from 78 grains up to 230 grains with different case materials, different projectile types, ogives in different locations, different overall lengths. The purpose of this test is to see what will the gun eat. Will it feed from slide lock, cycle another round of the same type, will it lock open on empty? If you want to test beyond that, like a full mag's worth, you're welcome to. Check the pinned comment for the link at gbgunsdepot.com where we'll link to this ammo where we can find it. All right, target camera fired up. We are 7 yards back from some 2-inch circles as a general aiming point for this. Lightest load today is the Liberty Ammunition Civil Defense 78 grain plus P. Should be screaming. That is a light bullet. Plus we got the extra pressure and a long barrel.
Man, that sound is just so, it takes me back.
It is
To
definitive.
wonderful memories.
Next, I don't know if these guys are still in business. Let us know in the comments if you do. Alchemist Ammunition. This is a lead-free frangible 155 grain. Also very light for caliber, so should be good velocity. Circle 2. You know, this trigger's lighter than I was expecting. It's running pretty well. Circle 3, Barnes Tax XP 185 grain. This is a plus P 185 grain. This is the one that I'm expecting to really feel in the hand. Just waiting for my eye to focus on that front sight. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling this round.
There's some very noticeable recoil, and it's got a pretty interesting smell.
A little machine shoppy, would you say? Like hot machine oil?
But clean.
Yeah. A well-maintained oil service center.
It was more homey than that.
Oh, okay. Circle 4, Blazer aluminum, 230 grain, we use aluminum steel. For some reason you guys do. It's cheaper.
And I want you to know, this box of Blazer, when you shake it, sounds like a beehive.
It is a very old school box. Very old box before their relabeling. But anyway, so this stuff has higher friction coefficient on the mag, the rounds stacked in the mag, also going into and out of the chamber, and the expansion and contraction rate is different from brass, so some guns choke on it.
I'm here for the fun facts, folks.
It's softer shooting. And smells a bit like cigarette smoke. It's like from, here, I'll show you guys the box, a little comedic relief. This is how old this Blazer is. Kept,
there we go.
Kept dry. There's no corrosion on the aluminum.
No.
But yeah, that's probably a different day of Blazer. Next, tool ammo, 230 grain. Moment of silence for cheap Russian ammo. No longer importable to the US, but politics change with time, so maybe it'll come back, and it's good to know if it'll shoot in this. Softer.
Snappier in the sound.
I think, yeah, it's going faster. But
for sure.
Group, nice. Lee, adverb. T is up.
All right, circle number 6 is SIG's Elite Performance Ammunition. This is a 230 grain bullet. Those front sights are gone. I will, I'm having to, there we go. Had to adjust my aim. I shouldn't have, but that's what I did.
With sights this tiny, folks, in low light like this, your brain plays tricks on you. Tia grouped nicely with those first 2 shots, with her brain telling her the front sight was somewhere else.
Well, and the black onto the gray target is not optimal in our light setting right now. Next up is the Federal Law Enforcement 230 grain Tactical HSP Circle 7. Hey, we already decided I can't see tonight.
Makes you wonder if all those Southern gun tubers are cheap, because they don't have these crazy sun angles.
Do we really have to wonder? Remington's Ultimate Defense full-size handgun in 230 grain.
Would you consider that a full-size handgun? 5-inch all-steel 1911?
You know, it is. Technically it is. But I've handled beefier 9mm that were much more uncomfortable in shooting and in feel, in recoil. So, I mean, I couldn't carry it, obviously, but Circle 8. I'm on target.
Oh, is that a feed issue or oh, it looks like it was a feed issue. That could have been the magazine.
It's the magazine.
Magazine just poop them all out?
Well, there's some metal shaving here from the back of the primer.
We'll pause and, oh yeah, the little sealant.
Yeah.
I don't think the Remington's sealed, but we'll swap into another magazine and continue.
I was in a good rhythm too. And I kept it. It locked open. I really think that coil just got in with the feeding in some way that prevented the bullet from seating all the way. Next up is Gold Dot by Spear. Also 230 grains on Circle 9. I don't like that ammo at all. No. It spit all over my face in an unpleasant manner. Ammo Inc. Also 230 grain. Nice little hollow point. God dang, some of those hurt. Circle 10. Those, this is not the finale that 9mm subsonics provide.
Yeah, it looks like we're not quite in battery. Now we are. No, we're not.
Now we're not.
No, we are. No, we're not.
That's not a mag issue, I don't think.
Could be the ammo. Ammo Inc. is not... They started off real strong, but their quality has slipped in recent years.
Let's keep that same group.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
So we figured out a couple potential ammo sensitivities could be the... Back about 13 yards away from our 6-inch Titan Great Outdoors spinner target. Uses for sights and trigger control because it's a small target at distance. As we hit it, it starts moving. If we want to knock it over the top, you got to time a shot on a small moving target, hence test of sights and trigger control. We have 8 rounds of that PMC 230 grain ball. Oh, thank you, red paint. There's my front sight. The other fun thing about doing that test with a 5-inch 45 is it definitely tells you about muzzle energy. Those of you who have watched the channel before and seen us do other guns know that it doesn't normally smash the target like that. These are hitting harder. The trigger on this is surprisingly good for an affordable 1911. Enjoyed it. The front sight post, it's that tiny little blade. Fortunately, this was a red target and the lighting was just right that I was able to see because of that. I wish it had different sights, but then again, this is a classic build, so you just got to take it as is. I think we just showed you can do something with it, but it's not easy.
Or take it to the gunsmith.
Yes, which, by the way, since we're on that, is exactly what I did with my GI 1911. I took it to a course, learned all the things I didn't like about it, and then sent it off to a gunsmith for several months of very expensive work because I wanted it to be ready for what I thought I was going to be doing with it. Now, Tia's up. Nice.
I lost track. That was all the gun. The hesitation I had was fishing for my front post instead of staying target focused, and it gets me every daggum time. But this setup worked well for that. The trigger doesn't leave any guesswork on where it's going to break. I really liked that. The sights, given that I had an opposing color, were easy to find. It was just timing my own shot.
And I will say something I thought of while you were shooting. My recovery time was slower. Like, I was not able to run that as quickly as I wanted to because one, took me longer to get back on target. I think because of recoil, but definitely because of the sights. Were you experiencing that too? That
it was also because I believe that we've probably become very accustomed to the quick swing that a 9mm will offer, and this is really pushing it out there, and so the timing for it to come back insisted that we slow down to meet it rather than rush through it like you're so great at doing.
No, I mean, getting it over the top is a game. This is a game or target, like in competitions with the stars. It's a matter of learning the technique, but it does serve, I think, a good purpose in teaching us to focus on the sights and that trigger for timing shots.
Yes.
Next up, practical accuracy, 5 shots from 7 yards. Practical accuracy is 5 shots from 7 yards at a 1-inch square, which is normally about the same size of a front sight post at this distance. 5 rounds of the 230 grain PMC bronze, just standard ball ammo. This also gives us a chance to focus on our concluding thoughts for the gun. Where that sight disappears on that black square. Nope, not there. Oh, well, now I'm stuck. I gotta group it. The smoke from this smells a little bit like cigar ashtray, which I think is really befitting of a 1911.
All right, my turn for 5 from 7. I'm gonna shoot at the right circle square. I love the way the sun has stepped in to assist in this task.
Centurion 1911, or Centurion 11, 1911, is a nostalgic build, and for me, and I'm sure for many of you, does bring back some nostalgia. My first handgun was just like this, although I don't think it was as smooth, and I don't think the trigger was as good. It is certainly a classic 1911. The finish on it's nice. The trigger and the action is very smooth, and there is like no slide rattle. It is better built than what I started with, and half the price of what I paid for my first one 20 years ago. So if you're looking for a classic like this, I can't find a reason to say no. The plastic grips were used in military contract. I like the wood, but guess what? There's thousands of 1911 grip companies out there, and customizing is part of the fun of a 1911. I'd leave the trigger alone. The sights, without milling that slide, not a whole lot you can do about that front sight. A wider beaver tail would be great, but that's not what this is. This is a classic gun, and I think they did a great job with that.
So when I picked this up at the gun store, I wasn't in love with it. Because the spring weight in the slide was a little bit difficult for me. However, it's loosened up a lot over the course of doing this review, and I'm actually quite in love with this whole thing. These did not impress me initially, but using them out here, it's a warm evening. I can say that those are amazing grips for the quality that you get for the price in this gun. Like, there's nothing wrong with this gun at all, in my opinion, except for my short-sightedness and my inability to understand this thus far, without there being a little white notch on the top of it. That is just a little bit of a handicap for me. The safety is always a bonus. I like that it has 8 rounds rather than 7 in the mag, so you can carry a capacity of 9, making it legal throughout our country. If you can carry something, of this size and stature, the weight is not really the issue for me. It would be the overall length of the gun. So yeah, I think Century knocked it out of the park for this, making the reality of owning a 1911 a reality that anybody can afford. Yeah,
and I've got to agree with you. My first impressions of it, looking at it in the box, was like, wow, this has got to be the cheapest 1911 ever.
Yeah.
It is simple in that it follows classic, but the quality of the build is great.
And I will say, I don't know how much hand size plays into how this beaver tail affects, but I didn't have any of that issue.
I was going to ask.
If it was wider than this for me, I would then have an issue, because it would ride on that knuckle. And I'm not getting any of that. So, and even the safety being where it is, it didn't recoil into my thumb knuckle at all. So, great job. Thanks for watching.